Waffle 25.
Yeah. Can you guys hear us okay?
Imagine if they can't again.
No, if they can't, we're screwed. All right, good. Cool. People can hear us. Yay. Good evening, guys. Look, I'm gonna put the glasses on. I know. I have my normal glasses upstairs, so this is the.
You look weird with the glasses on.
I know, but you know, I can't read otherwise. So, okay, there we go. Just hello, gents. Hello, guys. Yeah, so you guys jumped right on. So thanks for jumping right on. I just actually warned Declan yesterday that we should do this live because we didn't have
Time.
Yeah, we didn't have time to get anything done last weekend. So last weekend, as you guys know, I think by this point, most of the work that we do when we film anything anyway is done on the weekends. It's really sort of the only chance that we have to really do that. Now that Declan is Tuesday out of school,
Tuesday, right? And Tuesday's a half day.
Yeah. So after Tuesday, he's out of school, and that makes things a little bit easier. It'd be easier to do things at night. But we still won't do a ton of stuff then. We try to focus it on the weekends, and sometimes schedules put the kibosh on that. So Declan had some school stuff last weekend that he wanted to do, which took up his time, and then so I dedicated my time to a car show, and so by the time we were done, nothing doing. So, but we did want to talk to you guys a little bit, say hi to everybody, give you guys the opportunity to ask some questions if you want, but also sort of talk to you about what we're doing with the IROC. Because now that the Chevel's out and running, the IROC for sure is what everybody's focused on. It's what we're focused on. And I think maybe since the first time since we actually brought it home, you're excited about it again.
Yeah. We have a lot of more stuff now. And for me, it feels like an actual car now.
Yeah.
With the dash.
Did it feel too like when we were doing, because that last episode that we showed you guys, we put a lot of the interior back together. And I think you had talked before that it felt like that was miles away. That was going to take forever to get done, but it really didn't, right? I mean, we were done in a few hours and we had everything reasonably back together.
Yeah.
Although, as you pointed out, we forgot to hook up the speakers again.
And I don't think it's fully on either.
Oh no, not everything's totally done, but it's it's back and looking like a car. So I think that was important, so you can see how long it actually takes to get this stuff done. It's not necessarily that every one of these items takes forever, but the car did look like it was detonated with how far apart it was, and I think we're getting better there. So I guess the short story now is we were waiting on some parts. Truthfully, I was waiting on some money to wait on some parts. So that's happened now. And I went nuts and ordered a bunch of crap. So we got a bunch of stuff that came in the last week. There's still stuff coming in. The Brown Santa's continuing to drop stuff off at the house.
Ooh, don't call it that. Brown Santa.
I mean his uniform.
Paid Santa.
Yeah. So we're getting plenty of stuff in for the Camaro. Some of that stuff, admittedly, is fun stuff and extras. We got stupid battery. We got the headliner in. So that we don't need a headliner to make the car run, but it's going to feel a lot nicer with the headliner in it, right?
Yeah, that's the big difference.
Yeah. we're waiting on your rear carpet. The carpet comes in 2 sections, so we have the front carpets in, but we're going to get the rear one is on its way. But we also ordered some other pieces. I thought we would do, because everybody likes stuff and everybody likes unboxing of stuff. I thought I would go through some of the stuff that we got, and Declan hasn't seen it either. So he's like vaguely aware of the list of crap that I got, but he hasn't seen it all. So we'll start picking stuff out. That.
Oh, is this the...
Yes, the shifter plate. So,
Oh, thank God it still has the ashtray.
yeah, when we were taking the car apart, or actually when we were putting it back together, we definitely noticed that the sub piece here, this white piece,
Yeah.
actually you can see it from the backside, the actual like shifter mechanism with all those slides, that was all kinds of broken. And then when we went to go clean it, even with just normal like spray away, just a glass cleaner, like stuff started just coming off of it. So we actually didn't need the whole thing. We really only needed the substructure part of the shifter, just like this piece, but they don't make that. It's the whole thing. So we got the whole thing. So that's cool. That'll look good and look normal.
And did that top piece of the gear.
Yeah.
Things all messed up.
And we replaced the switches too, or we're going to replace the switches. We bought new ones. So this is insane. I have to share all this with you guys because some of this stuff is nuts. So there's 3 switches on the console, right? There's a driver's side window, passenger side window, and then the center one is a hatch release. So all of those had, as they usually do, the ink completely worn off them and rubbed off, which isn't too big a deal, but I figured I'll get some new ones of those. We got this new shifter console, like we should make everything look nice. So we picked up this. That's all that is. Just a little switch with a little trunk picture on it. Do you know how much this costs? $65. $65.
Well, it's old.
It's not old. It's brand new. It's remanufactured.
Well, like,
it's a restoration part.
Piece.
I think the challenge with it is they're not selling. There's not enough demand for those yet. So the window, we got the window switches too. But the window switch was $20 or $30.
What is that one?
Yeah, I don't know.
There you go.
We got you a shifter. So when the shifter was all sort of like the leather was all torn apart, the shifter knob. So
you can grab it.
Yeah, grab it. So decided to get a new one of those. Again, sort of the idea is now that we know that for the D-Man, he likes having the interior and everything straightened away and likes it all to be neat. I'm humoring him. So yeah, that's an improvement.
Yeah.
But if you've got a 3rd gen with an automatic and you are straight up missing one of these and you want this one, let me know. We can send it to you because we don't have use for it. Oh yeah, this one too. Open that one.
Open the back? What?
Yeah, show it up.
Oh, okay. Oh, the rear window. The rear mirror?
Yeah, rearview mirror. So I thought, you didn't think it. I thought it.
I don't know why it wouldn't be that.
I thought we had this in the car. When we bought the car, they had already like taken apart a lot of the interior, which is why we were able to see how solid the body was. But there was a box of stuff that came along with it, though. The radio was in the box. All of the plates and hold downs and stuff from the interior, all the plastics were in the box. So I thought we had everything. And then at one point last weekend, Declan was like, we need a new rearview mirror. I'm like, no, I'm sure it's in the box.
Oh, I was like, did we ever see one in there? Because I know there's a bunch of random stuff in it. I was like, I feel like it would have a mirror, because where else
Yeah.
would it go?
Right. But yeah, it wasn't there. So we got one of these. These stupid things are big money too. And it's not even the fancy one with the map light and stuff.
What? There's a map light?
No, it's not.
I know it's not like they have a version with the map.
Yeah, there was a version that had power, that had little lights underneath that would shine down to call them a map light.
I need that so much. So I need that.
You also got these.
I don't know the word.
These are hooker headers. These are shorty headers. So we're not going to put the old manifolds back on. The old manifolds had those like EGR tubes and stuff on them. So not going to put those back on. Throwing these guys on. And we've also got a Doug's header Y pipe that will connect these down to the rest of the exhaust. So this was kind of a missing piece because we weren't really going to get this thing fired up until we got headers in. So that's kind of a good big piece to get. Do we have a question here?
Someone said you can also get the mirror that connects to a rear camera for backing up. But
oh, yeah. So this is, we didn't need this. We didn't need it. But it was short money. And so Declan really wants that whole engine to be blacked out. And the timing cover right now is chrome. And it's actually kind of a beaten chrome. It's scraped away in spots and it's kind of rusty. So I ended up just getting the black.
Because black and red
timing chain cover and a new timing mark indicator. Those will be important to get on there because we also got, I'm not going to show it because it's not fancy. It's not worth looking at, but we did get a new harmonic balancer for that too. A few of you, I think, appropriately pointed out that after using the paint stripper and everything on that, it probably wasn't a good idea to put it back in the car because it can sort of break down the rubbers and the adhesive that hold the rubber to the metal. And it was pretty tired. So got a new one of those. So that's sitting in there ready to put on too. But this one's a surprise for you, Declan. So, yeah.
Oh, well, then what was the point of the thing?
And this is the pieces that go with it. So, that steering wheel, I didn't realize how toast his steering wheel is.
Did you take the thing off?
And we got a cover. No, I didn't take it off. We'll have to do that. I got a cover for it. And in the last episode, we put that cover on and then we put a bunch of blue tape around it. We didn't actually show you that, but if you saw the footage of it at the end of the episode when I was sort of panning around, you would have seen blue tape all around the steering wheel. That's why that little foam cover did not fit as well as I had wanted it to. It wasn't as elegant as I wanted it to be. So we use the tape for now, but I thought, let's get them like a nice clean start. So this is the whole kit and caboodle with the new center cap and the whole deal. So it's pretty cool. Yeah. And I think it's actually nicer than the original because this is all billet. This is all metal. This isn't plastic. And I think the original one, the horn button's plastic. So
yeah, I think it is.
Yeah. So this is it's cooler. It's like an upgrade. Yeah. You get an upgrade. Oh, shifter place for the ashtray becomes the cup holder. Yeah, I have heard that. I saw one of the places that we went shopping for some of this stuff was screamingchicken.com. Awesome website name, by the way. But screamingchicken.com had, I think they're like 3D printed cup holders that you can sort of hang off of that. That's still definitely a possibility, but I'm going to keep looking around and see if I can find maybe something even cooler. But we have plans for what we're going to do for the radio in his car. So that's something that might interfere with whatever we would do there too. So we're kind of considering that as well. And also get the mirror that connects to the rear view camera for backing up. Yeah, I actually thought about that. It's possible. I didn't really want to run all the wiring for the rear view camera part. Thought more about using it for radio. Might still be in the cards. We haven't, Declan and I, he's off opening something. Declan and I haven't talked about it, but that's definitely a distinct possibility. Yeah, no, he's taking tape off the steering wheel. He wants to look at the cover. It is a distinct possibility, though, that we will maybe get that rearview mirror camera. I think so. He's learning to drive on it, and in learning to drive, they're sort of not allowing them to use the rearview camera. So he's getting used to using the mirror, and the visibility at the back of this car is really good. So maybe we go rearview camera, but I'm also sort of thinking really doesn't need it. Yeah, it's wide open. Yeah. Let's see. Hawks Motorsports, they even have exact replica wheels and are 17-inch and a ton of carbide. Yes. So one of the big orders that I placed was actually for Hawks Motorsports. So the wheel and the hub and actually a bunch of the other parts of the grip, all the stuff we showed so far, nearly all of that stuff came from Hawks. I found them to be really good. They had a huge selection of stuff. And some of the stuff, they even had the choice of buying original equipment that was used or buying new stuff. And in those cases, their original equipment that's used is actually cheaper than the new stuff. So you have some options to be able to save some bucks if you want to or need to and are okay with getting used parts. I was super happy with them. Not psyched with their shipping. I think that's partially because of the headliner, but the shipping was pretty pricey. It had to be from the oversized headliner that got shipped. But otherwise, I really liked them. They had a pretty awesome selection of stuff, and their prices were pretty reasonable. In some cases, they were actually a lot cheaper than the other places that I found. So they were totally worth it.
It did not really work.
It didn't work?
No, and it was all sliding around too.
Oh, well, that makes me feel better.
So.
All right, yeah. So it makes me feel better because that wheel cover has been sitting taped in space in this garage for what, a week?
Yeah.
And so if it hasn't taken by now, it's not.
The thing in there is like leather.
Ah, okay.
I think it's like a fake leather.
Yeah, it's fake. It's
I
not.
don't think they'd use real leather.
We can look at it and figure out if you want to rehash it. What's the other thing that I got? So the other thing that we got, this isn't fancy looking. It's not fun. But I've been reading up on the stuff that we had to do to get this sort of old school 350 with a carburetor to run in the car. And we were bouncing back and forth on how we were going to handle fuel. So the deal with the fuel is that this was originally fuel injected, so it has an electric fuel pump, and so it has a feed line and a return line, and obviously that's going to come in at a much higher pressure than what you need for the carburetor. So what we were going to do, we had two choices. One was to remove that fuel pump from the tank, or deadhead it somehow, and then not use the return line or rig up a return line, but use the mechanical fuel pump. It was getting pretty sloppy. The other choice was to do this. So this is a fuel regulator that comes from Holley. And this particular one is designed to work with a return line, and it's also designed to dial the pressure way down. So most of the fuel regulators wouldn't be able to take the higher pressure that the fuel injector pump is putting out at and dumb it down all the way down to what a carburetor needs. This one does. So it's not exciting, but it's shiny.
Yeah, it looks like a weird fire hydrant.
Yeah. So that's one of the important, like you need this to go pieces. So while it's not terribly thrilling, it works. So somebody had a question for you, Declan.
Yeah, I saw
Declan, does being involved in working on the car give you a greater appreciation for it, and how will it shape your enjoyment in driving it? Wow, that's like a legit interview question.
I definitely enjoy it and appreciate it more when I'm actually working on it, because when you're watching the YouTube videos of people working on the car, you kind of only show the interesting points, and it's not all that interesting at times, but it makes it's like I'm with the car, like it's like the car is like making a bond. So
Yeah.
I feel like that will also like help with the driving. It's like this is my car,
Yeah.
as opposed to Dana, where it's just like this is my transport, as opposed to this
Yeah.
is my car.
Yeah.
Like it will mean something.
Yeah.
Like if I hit something with my car, I'd be like, no. As opposed to Dana would be like, oh.
Yeah.
Eh.
I have a feeling you'll want to keep yours clean.
Oh yeah.
As opposed to her
yeah.
too.
If I see the car, I'm like,
yeah.
I'll be a neat freak with it.
So we're doing this in a longer term than I did with my first car, with my Chevel, but I did all the work to that car with my dad. And that's part of the reason why I wanted to do this with Declan, because being that close to it and working on the car that close really makes, I'm convinced. I mean, my personality is such that I'm not like a crazy risk taker anyway, so I don't think I would have driven like a crazy man. But I drove pretty damn safe in my car, and I didn't really take a lot of chances because I knew that if I broke something on that car, it was my ass that was going to be underneath it at 2 a.m. on the gravel, regardless of what time of year it was, fixing the problem so I could bring it to school the next day, because I didn't have an option to do something different. So being that connected to it made me respect it more. And I was hopeful that that's what we'd sort of set up here, that he'd have a deep respect for his car and sort of an attachment to it. Like when you work on it, you don't know it now, but once you start driving it and you're working on it, like when it starts making little noises, when it starts doing little things, like something's up, and you probably have a good idea what it is.
Yeah. I should also clarify, even the boring parts are like interesting, because it's like, it's my car, It's nice to work on it because I know it's getting it to a place to where we can work on the interesting parts. So it's like even the small things that don't really seem like they matter do matter, because they get to the things that you enjoy more.
Yeah. And you really like I like
the visuals.
Like he's a detailing guy, right? So I think like if this car were not running, but like a looker, like he'd be all over it, like doing paint correction and like figuring out how to, micro clean the interior and do all that stuff, because that's where his passion is and his focus, which I get, because that stuff interests me too. But hopefully we'll get you a little bit more into the mechanical stuff too, and get a little bit more confident. I feel like you've gotten way more confident in the last, I think it's been 11 months since we've had this.
We'll probably have.
In terms of working with tools and diving into things, I think you're getting there.
Yeah.
Just from repetition. Those intake fuel pumps are a bit of a nightmare to change out when they go without cutting access to the tank from above. And we're saying, Dino, not sure how to pronounce that. Sorry if I butcher it. That's actually one of the reasons why we're just sticking with the electric fuel pump. It's working now. There's nothing wrong with it. It's not a problem. So the mentality is like, this is one of the things we're just not going to touch because it's not broken yet. We'll leave it. And then the hope is that it stays good for a while and it works. But we're also like, at some point, I do still plan to put a TPI motor back in this car. At some point. I don't know when. Like we don't have a timeline for that. It's going to be a cost implication to that. So it'll happen at some point. So I kind of don't want to gut it. I don't want to take all of that stuff that I would need for TPI out of it now if we don't have to. So that's why we're sticking that. Yeah, first car at 16 was a 74 Chevel Laguna. Yeah, those are big cars. My like deep passion for Chevels ends at 70 really, because even 71 and 72, I don't like the front end changes that much. I like the taillights. 71 and 72 taillights are great, but I don't like the front ends as much. Once they went away from the 4 headlights, I don't like them as much.
No, I need to know what the
But those Lagunas, they were like, I always thought they were like way too big, but I have to admit now I have an attachment to them. So now I would go there. But I actually like the Chevel, the El Camino versions in like the 73 and 74. Pretty awesome. Run some Techron with your first tank in that fuel pump. Yeah, we're probably going to end up trying to run that tank fairly dry, and then we're gonna end up putting a bunch of fuel additive in there just to make sure that we clear things up as much as we can, and may even run some extra filters in there in the beginning. It looked, I cammed it, so I put a borescope down there back when we were first working on it, and it looks clean. That tank does not look like it's a mess, but that doesn't necessarily tell you everything. So no guarantees there. I have to get a box that we got today, and I didn't get to open it yet. That's one I want to show you.
Do you know what's in it?
Yeah, I do know what's in it. It's coolness.
It's coolness.
It's coolness.
You're just gonna pull out a piece of random metal that I don't know what it is.
No, not true.
I'm gonna know what it is.
You're gonna know what it is.
Well, I'm gonna
It's
guess.
not gonna be hard to identify. Keep talking to the people, Declan.
I don't even know what it's gonna be. I'm trying to think of what it can be. I've got a pretty limited thing because I don't know much about it, about what it looks. Is it metal or plastic?
Yes.
Okay, so it's one of the two.
Well, it's a little of both.
It's a little of both. Does anyone have any ideas? Because
All right, one of these things you know.
One of them I know.
One of them you know, and the other you know. But
Uh,
they are related.
They're related. Okay. Well, they're related.
I'm gonna get it.
Speaker? Oh, there's nothing on the 70 bucks.
Dun, dun,
Oh, I was right.
Yeah.
Okay.
These are the parts you didn't know about.
Oh, I forgot.
All right, this is the stuff that, like, when I was your age, if I had gotten hooked up with a stereo and speakers for the car, I would have been psyched beyond my brain. I think he'll be more excited once they're actually in. But
Yeah.
there's a cool thing that goes on with this that, so this particular stereo, there's a complication to this that's worth explaining for anybody who gives a crap. And you guys are tuning in here, so you give some sort of crap. So in Massachusetts, when you have a junior operator's license, right? So that's under 18.
So dumb.
You literally cannot use any other piece of electronics in the car while you're driving, unless it's a part of the car. So that means you can't take your phone and put it on a suction cup on the windshield and run Google Maps off of it. It means you can't get like a Garmin GPS and stick that to your window and run directions from it. And we ran into this with Dana, my older kid, that she was not able to really go anywhere. She was like having to go kind of old school and print out maps of where she was going or look up ahead of time.
It didn't stop her from music.
And
I didn't even know she listened to music when she drove.
She had a hard time being able to use maps for directions because she couldn't use that extra piece. So I wanted to make sure that he was able to use Apple CarPlay. So that's what we're doing here. So this runs wireless Apple CarPlay, which means he'll be able to just sort of toss the phone inside the console. I actually got a USB extension so that we can run a power outlet inside your console too, so that you can keep it powered.
I could put my phone in the ashtray.
Because you won't, like, if he's running Apple Play, technically he's not using that other piece of electronics. It's out of sight. It's inaccessible, and he'll be able to run maps on this. And the reason that I found this for any third gen guys who haven't found this, the 3rd gen console, it has a double DIN for the radio, but it's in a weird spot. And so the heater air conditioning controls are over the radio. Screaming Chicken actually makes their own bezel. I think it's actually 3D printed, but they make a different bezel that's an inverted or reverse bezel. So by doing that, what they do is they put the radio over the controls, over the heater air conditioning controls. And in doing that, they make room for a standard double DIN screen, which nobody else does. So if you don't have that little conversion kit, you won't find a way without messing up your dash to get that thing in there. So that's actually what led me to Screaming Chicken, was the radio. They had a lot of radio parts. There wasn't a lot of other parts there that I was interested in at the moment that I hadn't already ordered from Hawks. But Screaming Chicken was a good website, and they gave me a sticker. I'm always a fan of getting a sticker when I order stuff.
Especially if it's a Screaming Chicken.
Yeah, I mean, how can you not go for something called Screaming Chicken? Yeah. Hey, Brian Wilkerson, how's it going? Yeah, and Dan, yeah. Well, the Khaleesi's newer, so you got better factory radio on that one. His factory radio is a tape deck, and we actually don't know if it works. So there was going to be no shot at get any sort of good tunes out of that. He was going to be dealing with AM,
if it
FM.
didn't work, I feel like dust would come out.
They make a few new radio. Yes, the reversing components. Yeah, that's exactly what I was talking about, Top Raider. Yeah, so I'll have to go back and try to find it in the box. I know we ordered that too, but
there's a dying bug on your touchpad.
It is a bezel that just sort of flips those two around, and in flipping it, you can make it work. They actually make a bezel that it doesn't flip it around. So if that bothers you aesthetically, you can keep it in the same orientation. The difference is that you end up losing a little tiny bit of your screen. There's like a little bit of shadow line that gets created from that if you don't swap it around. So I opted to go for the swap without even talking to you.
Okay.
But part of the reason why I think you would get on board with it too is that it makes the radio get mounted up a little bit higher. And it's going to be like right in front of the shifter anyway. So the higher it gets mounted, the easier it's going to be for you to touch it and to see it, which I think makes a lot of sense and is probably safer. First car in the 80s was UK equivalent of Chevrolet Cavalier. Hey, so I had a Cavalier too. So my first, well, was it my first car? My first car that I actually bought on my own was an 84 Chevy Cavalier. I got it when I got my first job out of college. I bought it with literally my first paycheck, all of it. And it had bad motor mounts. But more than bad motor mounts, it had like no clutch left. No clutch.
It seems like a bad financial
decision. It moved, but not great. And like literally, I think the second paycheck I brought it in, and with that entire paycheck, I got the clutch replaced. And because I didn't have time to do this myself, I didn't have time to work on it. I needed this car to get back and forth to work, and it was a long drive. And I think as soon as we get that replaced, I could not drive that thing home. Because the motor mounts had torn loose. And so you couldn't start it in first gear. I had to start it in second gear until I had enough money the next paycheck to get new motor mounts and put those in. So that was that Cavalier served me for like a year when like nothing else would do, and I didn't have enough credit or money for a down payment on a car. And it was kind of fun while it lasted, but I just remember the headaches. Yeah. So, yeah, just trying to read the comments. Upgraded sensors submitted 84 C22 TL stock speakers. Ah, nice. Good use of your car speakers getting redeployed. Yeah, I don't know if the speakers in this car are actually okay or not.
I'm gonna guess.
But these were aligned to fit with what you have. And I was like, you know what? We might as well just get the whole thing at once, because even if the speakers are okay in there, they're probably not rated for the power that this head unit's going to be able to put out since it was older. So I figured might as well just go ahead and get those new ones. They actually weren't that bad money wise. So we're doing the hat trick and getting it all together, all sorted. So what we're planning on next for the Camaro is we've talked about our focus now is getting the engine in the car. Right. So it was fun to do the interior last time, but from here forward, no more like interior and cosmetic work until we get the actual engine in. So there's a couple things.
Boring stuff.
A couple things we still need to go through to get that wrapped up. We're going to change that timing cover. We're going to put the harmonic balancer on and get that mounted. One thing that I did sort of off camera, I didn't bother getting everybody involved in this piece because I just wanted to make progress. The accessory drive that came on the IROC on the 305 TPI motor, I really wanted to try to get that accessory system mounted to the front of the 350. I just wasn't sure if they would fit. So I took a look at that, I think late last weekend or at night this week, I can't remember when, and lined up all the holes, and it looks like it's going to fit. So the upside of that working is it means we can use all of the accessories like the alternator and the power steering pump, etc., from the old engine and put them on this one. So I dragged that thing outside at night one of the days this week, cleaned it all up, power washed it, and then spray painted it with that Alumablast paint because it was a raw aluminum finish part to begin with. So that's going to be, we're going to put that on as the accessory drive so that everything will work. It just means it's more like stuff that was in the IROC to begin with. So I figured the closer we get to the original stuff, the better off we'll be. We got to put the headers on or get the headers ready to go on. We have to get the flex plate mounted. So we'll get the flex plate mounted. I did the double checking on that, what flex plate we could use. We are going to be able to use the 350's flex plate. It will align with the torque converter that's in your trans. So that's all we got to do on that engine. And that engine is going to be basically ready to go in.
Can we pull like an all-dayer to get it all done?
Yeah.
Okay.
I think so. We've also got to work on the transmission. So we picked up a Wix filter kit for the transmission. So we have to install that. That's what I think we're going to do tomorrow. So we're shooting tomorrow for the stuff that we should have up Friday. And so I think that's going to be us working on just the motor and the trans and getting that as far as we can. Because ideally, once those things are together, once we can mate those up, we can stab this in. And then it's going to be a little bit of time before we can actually turn a key and get it running. That's going to be the annoying part. So I think I mentioned that before, that there's not going to be a video where like we stab the motor into the car and then at the end of the video we turn it over and start it up. I wish. That's probably not going to happen. And the only reason for that is there's still a bunch of wiring nonsense that I got to figure out. We took that whole wiring harness out.
Yeah, we just yanked that wire.
But the problem is that now I need to do one of two things: either remake a new wiring harness for the stuff that does need to get driven through. So we need to wire up for the fuel pump. We need a relay in there so that the fuel pump will work because that was controlled by that ECU. We need all of the gauges, all of the temperature and pressure sensors that were feeding the gauges. All of those have to be hooked up. The windshield wiper and washer motors and pumps have to be hooked back up because those all came off with that wiring harness. So I have one of two choices. We can either like dissect that wiring harness and basically just open up all those tubes and pull out the wires that we need, just pull them in and put the rest aside. Or I can make it from scratch. And I think right now I'm choosing to cut it open and just pull out what we need. Because if I have to buy all the Deutsch connectors to make that work, it's going to not be cheap. And
Mm.
if whenever we put a TPI motor back in there, whenever that is, you can buy the entire wiring harness again. So I know that I can do that, or I can replace this one. So I'm not overly worried about that future. So in the interest of time, we're just going to scoot that along and pull those wires out. So I may film that one, but more than likely I won't show it because that's going to be super tedious, unless I can find something about that I can instruct with. I haven't found a whole lot of things on YouTube or on the web that sort of go through a step-by-step of how to do that. So I don't know, maybe there's value in that, but
ask the people if they want a wire video.
Yeah, tell me if you're interested in seeing that. I'll do it, but I don't want to bore anybody to tears beyond what we normally do already. So I don't want to necessarily jam that down anybody's throat.
Maybe you could do it live while doing it.
That sounds even worse. That you will really see me throwing wrenches.
With it, see authentic.
Yeah. Do I have a discount code for Screaming Chicken? I wish I did, Carl. So I don't have any sort of discount codes for anybody, unfortunately. But you guys can talk to them about that. Nobody sponsors us right now, so there's no.
Be our first sponsor.
Yeah, so we don't have any of that, so I don't have a discount code, but I wish I did because they are pretty cool. So go and check them out if you're interested. That's just my opinion.
Should rent out space on my car to put advertisements.
Roy says we're an inspiration. We'd love to have the adventure we're all having. I'm a dad of 3 boys and 3 boys and 3 girls. Holy cow, Roy!
Roy's a machine.
Yowzer. Yeah, I mean, I have to tell you, I kind of understand, and I feel your pain, Roy, because my oldest has no interest in this at all.
I don't have any kids yet.
Consider it a victory that I got her to learn how to use the air compressor to fill her tires with air. That's a win. That's about as far as I think it's going. And I honestly wasn't sure, like, after that with her, I never really pushed Declan that hard because I don't think that I've pushed either of you guys hard in any direction to do anything. No. Just because I wanted to sort of let things happen as they were. And when they were little, I was not working on cars. So when they were little, I didn't have cars to work on. I didn't have one around.
The oldest one I remembered is the minivan.
Yeah, we didn't have the money. I didn't have the time. So it's only been since 2020 that I've had a car here to fart around with. I think you guys always knew that I work with my hands and like to fix stuff.
Yeah.
But I don't think you knew that I knew anything about cars.
Yeah, I don't think I never even thought about that.
Yeah. So we got into it kind of late. But yeah, I mean, I think you end up finding the thing that they have a passion in, and you just hope that it's going to align with what you do, so you can both really earnestly have fun with it. But yeah, I'm very grateful for it. 88 Fiero Formula, that's a pretty cool car too. Like, there's a couple of those that show up at meets around here all the time. One of them's got an LS swap in it. Fiero was a pretty cool little car. I could get into that if that had been what you wanted. That would have been something we could have gone with. I don't know what that looks like. Hephaestus. Wow. Oh crap! Live wasn't expecting this when I clicked on the link. Got a 3rd gen Firebird. Was hoping to get us on the road this year, but yeah, life's getting in the way. Yeah, I hear you on that one. It's really easy for stuff to get in the way, and if I'm being honest, part of the reason why we're doing this channel is that it helps me stay accountable. I think you guys know by now that I've kind of like eased off the gas pedal on like killing myself to make a video every week, because I was for the first like many months doing that. I was really psychotic about it. But I still have an attachment, not just to getting stuff done for the channel and showing you guys stuff, but also to make sure that we pull through on this promise. And Sam Hain, Andy, thank you, man. Very much apprecited. Not at all required, but I really, really appreciate it.
You gotta use like the stream of these. Thank you for the dono.
Yeah.
Thank you for the dono.
Yeah, very nice. Thank you very much.
Is that pounds?
Yeah, that is pounds. Yeah. Yeah. So, in fact, Declan and I were joking about this because Jamie's folks, my wife's folks, have offered to give their car, their old Subaru, to Dana, to my daughter. She needs it for driving back and forth to school. She likes that car better. And they're sort of at the end of their road with it. And so I said, well, cool. That's great. Really appreciate it. Do you guys want Dana's old car, her Nissan Rogue? Maybe you can use it as a trade-in on your next car. And they were like, no, you guys should just keep that there because we don't think you're going to have that Camaro ready for when Declan gets his license. And so that kind of just pissed the both of us off.
Because I can kind of understand where they're coming from because I used to be that like 2 weeks ago when the thing was, but it's like it doesn't seem that far away. Like when people are like, oh, it's like I'm gonna be in college before it gets done. It's like it's not that. Like at most, it will be done before the year ends, and that's worst case scenario.
See, he drank the Kool-Aid now. He's in. No, I mean I get it. I think a lot of people look at these projects, especially if they're not car people, if they're not project people, they look at this stuff and go, there's too much there. I don't even know where I would start to do that. I don't know how to do it. So there's no way anybody's going to get it done. But and I'm not guaranteeing that it's running and fine, but I think we'll have the engine in and we'll have it running within several weeks here. Now, whether or not there's something else that pops up that we have to keep chasing, who knows?
Yeah,
I mean, that's project cars.
The car and it makes the same noise it did in the beginning.
Oh my God. It can't. I mean, well, it actually could if we hydrolock it when we first started up, but we're going to do our best to make sure we don't do that. So yeah, that's all of that stuff is keeping me accountable to making sure that we keep moving forward and keep getting progress on this thing and keep pushing forward. And I get that for you guys watching this, sometimes, when you tune into our videos, you're like, ugh, what are they doing that for this week? Honestly, sometimes it's all we have the gas for or all we have the parts for to do. But when you've got a project car, I'm a firm believer in the idea that it's not always about doing things in a very specific order. It's just making things better every day you touch it, right? Like keeping consistent, keeping going down to the garage, keeping touching things, keeping working on things, and always moving it forward, not backwards, right? So, if you're in the process of building it up, don't start tearing stuff down again, right? Just keep on building, keep on getting it, moving, and keep on making it better. And sometimes that's going to be bouncing around, right? So for us, bouncing around from working on the engine to, hey, let's fix the dash up. It might seem like it doesn't make any sense to you guys watching it, but it fired Declan up and it got him going to keep moving forward. And it's work that we would have had to do at some point anyway.
Sometimes we'll get like a cool Instagram reel on cars and we'll be like, oh, I want to work on the car now. Like it will be like a small thing. It'll be like, oh, cars are cool. I want to work on the car now.
Yeah.
It's just like, it's that simple of just like, I want to work on it now.
Yeah, it's great. And we've got, that's part of the idea of getting all these parts and pieces in is I'm trying to build sort of a stockpile of the parts that we can have on hand so that we can start doing installs and start getting this stuff done. Like the switches that we got for the windows and for the trunk latch, that's absolutely something that Declan can put in some random day when I'm at work. Right? That's not something that's overly complicated. As long as he's careful not to break the plastics, then it should be fine. You can do that. So having a bunch of stuff like that around, I think is going to be helpful to getting this done. So it'll be done and running soon, whether it's like in the position that he's going to be able to drive it around right away. That maybe not the case, but again, we've got like 2 months to make that happen because that won't be until August. So I think we're pretty good there.
That guy didn't say anything horrible, by the way. I saw his message before it got retracted.
Oh, I didn't realize something got retracted.
Yeah.
Boy, you sure are an awesome dad. That replica steering wheel is like 350. Bless you. Yes, I'm pretty awesome.
Yeah. Not to brag.
Yeah, I mean, where I can do it, I like to do it, and it's all about doing the stuff that like I have to. Mystery Mike, has been
Mystery Mike. His full name's on the chat.
Yeah, has been a good sounding board for me with this stuff, and he's constantly reminding me to like lean into whatever Declan likes about the car. Make sure you're doing the things that Declan wants to do with the car. And he's 100% right, because I get sometimes fixated on, I go down a rabbit hole of like, I got to get this engine running, and then that leads me to like, oh, maybe we should get a long block 350 TPI motor, and maybe this and maybe that. And then Mike was finally like, does Declan give a crap about whether it's got a DPI motor? So I talked to Declan about it. No, I don't care. I'm more concerned that the paint gets done right. So
That
listening
doesn't
more
mean
to
that
him.
nothing will be done in the future. So don't
Yeah, the goal is always to
lose
do
your
that in
head
the
in the trap
future.
being like, he needs that.
The goal is always to get it back to the TPI in the future. Although I think the more I think about it now, the more I think it would be a 350 TPI if I'm going to put anything back in that, because that would kind of make some sense. A little bit beefier, a little bit sturdier. How's the transmission on the IROC? Has it ever been rebuilt? 700 R4 is known for being weak. Yeah. So I don't honestly know. We are sort of taking a leap of faith with the transmission on this one. So that's one of the things we have on tap for tomorrow is we're going to get that in here and open it up. If the hole inside of the pan is filled with shiny sand, then I probably end up having to bring it to a transmission shop and have it checked over and potentially rebuilt. But failing that, if it looks okay tomorrow, then we're just going to put a filter in it, clean it up, and put it back in and cross our fingers and hope everything goes okay. There's no sense in going nuts and having it like rebuilt without being pretty sure there's something fishy or cagey wrong with it. And right so far, we haven't seen anything that says it's bad. So fingers crossed that it's in good shape. That is something else that I need to look into a little bit more, because that does have 700 R4 has an electronic lockup for the converter, and that's something you lose with the ECM. So I have to look up the details of how to bypass that. Otherwise, we end up smoking the transmission, which I don't want to do.
No.
So that I have to figure out. But I did order all the other parts and pieces and cables that we're going to need to get that connected to a carburetor throttle body instead of the TPI. And Mike says, Vestas don't feel bad. I'm on year 3 of a motor swap on my Mustang. Yeah. For those of you who don't know, Mike has I think it's a 2001 Mustang Cobra. It's an awesome car. It's beautiful. He kind of shies away from praise on it, but I think the car's awesome. It's in great shape. And he's been doing work on it right along. He put a supercharger kit on it 3 years ago. That's pretty awesome. And he did a lot of work to make that happen. And then like a day later, he goes out and buys another motor. And he's been sitting on that and buying parts for it for like 3 years. So I think the work that we did on this channel between because he came and helped us with taking the motors out of both of these cars and putting the new one back in the Chevel, gave him either the information, the inspiration, or the shame, the deep burning dark shame, to go ahead and start moving on his. So that's going to be something, hopefully, Mike, that shows up in the next few weeks. We can start working on his. So let me know, guys, if you're interested in seeing what we do with Mike's car.
We might have to.
I'll ask him nicely, and if he's good with it, then we'll film some of that and show you the motor swap for his. The red Fiero with the LS swap is my friend Chuck's, and his wife has the yellow one. Oh yeah, Glenn. Okay, so Glenn Smith is referencing the fact that I said I see a few Fieros around here at shows. These two cars, this red and yellow Fiero, they are at like a lot of shows in this Central Mass area. And I see them all the time. They're beautiful cars. They're really, really done well. They really cared about them. So that's cool, Glenn. It's a small world. B&M used to sell a kit to lock up the converter in 4th gear under light throttle. I'm not 100% sure if they still make it, though. I'm not. All right. So I'm going to definitely look into that one, Carl, because I need to figure out how to make that happen. I know there's stuff online. I've breezed past stuff before, but every time I saw it, I think I bookmarked them and then sort of said that's too far away for me at this moment in time to look at. I couldn't commit my brain to it. So, but that's a good tip out. So I am definitely going to have to look at that. And then Daniel was saying 700 R4s from 87 onward are really solid, in my opinion. Never thought of them as weak. Yeah, I think where a lot of times the reputation for those trans is being weak, and I think like 350s get this too sometimes. A lot of those transmission get famous for being weak when you throw way too much horsepower against them and start dropping on them and stomping on them hard. And they were only rated for so much power. And then if you start throwing way more power than that behind it, you're gambling, right? You're throwing the dice. I think like the 350 trans is only rated for like 350 horsepower as a standard, might be a little bit more than that. So yeah, if you throw 500 behind that and then start, loading them up and trying to do burnouts with them or trying to do neutral drops, you're going to blow it up. It's not rated for that. So I don't know if there's any of those GM transmissions that are really like China dolls. I think they're all pretty decent, but some of them are more bulletproof than others, I guess. So yeah, that's what we're doing right now for the Camaro. We should talk a little bit about paint. I know somebody had asked about paint before, and in the comments of one of the videos they had, and forgive me guys, I forget which one of you it was, but I know it was a regular viewer and commenter. The paint on here, they had mentioned like, don't repaint it, just, get that clear coat off and re-clear coat it. The paint's probably good. It's not. So all of the horizontal surfaces, from the deck lid or the hatch lid to the roof and the hood, they all have, they're missing paint.
Oh yeah, I remember that comment. Like, we have the car in our house.
Yeah, it's hard to see from that. Paint is really, really hard to show on video.
Yeah.
Really, really hard. So I think 9 times out of 10, paint looks great on video, and it's really hard to show you that it doesn't look. I know the comments that we get about people like really terrified about us getting too close to the Chevel and its paint. The paint on the Chevel is horrible, right? I'm glad I have it. I'm not knocking the Chevel, but this paint job is a 30-footer at best. It is not clean. It is not perfect. But you can't tell that just by looking at it on video. It's really hard to see those details. And the same is true with the Camaro. But there's all those horizontal surfaces, the paint is worn right through to the gray primer underneath. So I think maybe there's something we can do there. I don't know. We talked a little bit about like maybe shine juice, like maybe just sanding off the clear coat and coating it in shine juice for now, until we can get repairs made on the body and get it, sanded and primed and get it to paint. But we'll see. We're now talking about like hanging on to that Nissan Rogue, and maybe Declan uses that as a winter driver. And if that becomes a winter driver, it makes it a lot easier for us to ship the Camaro off to my brother-in-law's, and see if he can paint that for us. If he has any slow time over the winter, which sometimes he does, if he can hang on to the car all winter, then he can kind of paint it whenever he gets the moment. So yeah, all of those things are on the table. I think at best though, we're talking about a respray of the same color, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So it stays red. Stays that, I think it's called GM Bright Red. So it'll stay that color.
When's your car gonna be red again?
My car's never going to be red.
You're never gonna repaint it?
It's never going to be red.
You don't want it to be the same color as your first car?
No.
No?
No, I have no desire for it to be that color.
Oh.
No, and the interior on my car is all green, and it's in really good shape.
Oh, right. It would look really ugly.
It would look stupid with red.
So would you ever change it?
I think my current plan with the Chevel right now is to paint it to get this color matched and get some of this paint, and then to start doing the repairs on this body, and then just matching with or feathering in that paint. But eventually, my long-term goal would be to bring it back to its original color, which was the mist green, which is much lighter. It's almost like a mint green.
You should go lighter.
Mm-hmm. But that's way in the future, because respraying it with a different color is like you're blowing the whole thing apart, sanding everything down. It's a lot of work and a lot of money. So not happening anytime soon.
I might not be here for
It's
that.
way off in the future. Yeah, you won't be here for that. You won't. I can't do that while you're still a drain.
Wow. Still a little leech.
All right, let's see what more questions that came up here. Oh, Carl's doing some lookout for me. Cool. TCI Lock-up wiring kits. Yeah, that's the thing that I was looking for, the lock-up wiring kit. Okay, I'm going to have to look up that. So thank you, Carl, for doing my homework. That's awesome. I worked O'Malley's in Central Mass before the service. What's on the mechanical side, but they were known for their paint and body work.
Bringing some good info there.
Yeah.
For this one.
Remember trying to drive the Camaro to high school during snowy winters in the Northeast. White knuckles. Yeah, I think that's
all right then.
That's one of the things that has me a little bit worried. And not even so much that, it's just it's going to take a beating in the winter. And you still be able to park it inside the garage. And we still do it. I wasn't necessarily considering buying a winter car outright. Because, anything to do that would take money away from the Camaro. But if the car is just sitting there and if we're looking at getting rid of it, it might just make sense to keep that limping along and at least get them through this winter. So yeah, that's definitely on the table. One does it by switch, one does it by fourth gear and vacuum. Painless is a vacuum and a fourth gear kit. Cool. Look at all this information we're getting. Yeah, the Camaro in the winter will be terrible. Honestly, I drove when I was in high school. I drove my Chevel in the winter, and that car was terrifying to drive. The like rear wheel drive, like brute power trip, not great. Also, wider meats, wider tires on there. They don't cut through the snow. They sort of float on top of it. It is not good. I do distinctly remember doing a 180 on an off ramp. An unintentional 180 on an off ramp from the highway that was crazy icy. That was one of those moves where I had to just like pull over and listen to my heartbeat in my throat for a couple of minutes before I could keep going. But yeah, the good news is things are different now. They don't have school when the weather's that bad.
Right.
So, it's not really that big a risk. This was something that I worried about before Dana went to school. And then when she went to school and I realized that like she never has to drive her car in that crap. So we've got other cars, we've got our ability to be able to drive into places. So that's actually not the huge concern. I'm actually a little bit more worried about just the beating that the car is going to take in the winter. Like the wheels would take a beating in the winter. Yeah. So that would mean I'd want to get snow tires for it and put them on a different set of rims. Now that's more money I'm spending just to keep this thing on the road. So if we've got a car that we can use and it's sitting there, I don't know, make some sense to me. Maisel.
Need to clean it though.
Yeah. Yeah, I'm sure you would clean it. I cleaned the snot out of that car when we first brought it home. Do you remember? I detailed that car when we brought it home, and she has let it go to crap. Yeah. They just slide no matter how light on the gas. The rear goes sideways in the snow. Yeah, I'm telling you, wide tires, rear wheel drive on a light car. Those are all bad scenarios. They're not good in the snow.
Yeah, you can tell we're reading when we leave.
I know we're both leaning forward and reading. I have an excuse because I can't see. I'm blind.
Well, I'm like 2-3 feet away from you.
Yeah. Yeah. Cop steelies and snow tires. That's probably what we would do, Dan, if we were gonna put the snow tires on it. I'm really hoping we get to avoid that and we can keep that Nissan going. But the Nissan's got issues of its own, so there's no guarantee that we keep that going. That might cost more to fix than we want.
We don't even know what the problems are.
Yeah, we still got to figure that out. So I think that's covers what's going on with the Camaro. What's going on with you? Yeah. You should be freed up soon.
Yeah. Unfortunately.
And then we got to get him a job.
Yeah.
So that he can afford gas and gear for his car, because this is not going to sip gas. I can tell you that. And then I'm still working on the Chevel. So the Chevel has 2 major things that I'm still trying to get done to it this season. I mean, it's a project car, so it's always going to have stuff, but there's 2 things that I wanted to do to it this season. One of them I'm literally in the middle of. So I was filming for it today. I'll probably film for it like during the week, and maybe a little bit tomorrow. But it's not going to get in the way of Declan and my time.
On Father's Day.
Yeah, but that's what I want to do on Father's Day. I want to work on your car with you on Father's Day. That makes sense to me.
Dads never want to do nothing on vacation.
And then, well, I'm not cooking, so that's my one thing.
What do you have then?
We're gonna get Brickstone.
Okay, yeah, I figured.
Yeah. So, well, the first thing that I'm doing is that I'm midway through is replacing the radiator. So, I'll explain in the video, but since you guys have tuned in for this, I'll tell you now. The video, sorry, the engine that was in it, the 350 that was in it, is pretty mild. And as a mild 350, it didn't really get crazy hot. It didn't put a huge demand on the cooling system. I had problems with it when I drove on the highway. So if I drove on the highway and wanted to go faster than 65 in that car in the summer, it would get hot. And that would force me to sort of get off the highway and go back roads. But as soon as you went to back roads, it cooled right down. It was fine. When we took the engine out of that car and had to take the radiator out, then I found out that, like, oh crap, this is a single core radiator. So it's the small radiator and it's single core, which I didn't even know they made. So this new motor, the 383, runs warmer, right? It's a higher compression motor. It's like, I think it's 10.5 to 1, more cubic inches. It's just putting out more power. It gets warmer. So I need a new radiator for that. And I was waiting until I had some money coming so I could do that. So got a cold case radiator and fan kit, electric fan kit. So I am putting that in. And actually, I can see from here, the radiator is hanging up by the ceiling right now because I painted it black because it's all aluminum. And I don't like seeing the raw aluminum through the front grille of the car. It looks weird to me. So I painted it to make that go away. And yeah, I'm getting ready to plunk that in. The wiring's pretty much all set. I've already done that piece. I've already removed the old stuff that was there. I need to drill my core support now so that it can accept the hole down for the wider radiator. But that's really, I'll film that, but it's just drilling some holes and using the rib nut gun, which will be my first time using this rib nut gun, to pop some threaded inserts in there so that we can put those in place, and changing out the alternator, which I think I talked about doing before. And then I changed out the pulleys. So the pulleys on the whole front are now billet aluminum, except for the alternator, which is annoyingly gold. I ordered the alternator online, and the picture of it said it was going to come with I think it was a chromed fan, and instead it's gold. That's annoying. So
you don't like
what are you going to do? Well, I had a thing going on here where everything was going to be consistent, and now that's throwing it off. So it's just annoying me a little bit. But anyway, that's what I'm currently working on. That'll make a big difference for me because I'll be able to drive it a lot more consistently and a lot further in any temperature once I've got electric fans in that thing. The other thing that I'm looking to do with that this season is replace the rear end. So I'm looking at getting a new quick performance rear end. It's a Ford 9-inch that's made for the A body. So it comes with all the correct mounts. It's the right width. It's all ready to go in this car. All the gears all set in it, 350 gears, posi, and disc brake. So I'm looking to get that and hopefully get that in this summer so that I can put that in before the end of the season. And that's going to improve the snappiness of that thing at low speeds because it's got 256 gears in it right now, which is fantastic on the highway. But it takes a lot to get the thing going from a dig. So
you go on the highway?
If you're not like slamming it from a dig, it takes a lot to get it going. And then I think other than that, it's stuff for the winter. I've got some new upholstery kits coming in for the front seats. We've got new carpet that I'm going to be putting in there. So it's a bunch of stuff that I want to get things aligned for this summer. But I won't bother doing those until we get to the off season because those are, in my opinion, indoor jobs and the kind of thing that I'm going to have to carve torn apart to do. So that's the kind of thing I want to do in the winter when I can't drive it anyway. So, and it makes for more content that I can show you guys in the winter months when we're all pining for driving and we can't. All right, now I got to catch up with Thanks. You two are fun to watch. Just one. Oh, thank you, Carl. Yeah, we're psyched that you guys enjoy watching it. It means a lot. We get every once in a while. Everybody is usually pretty positive. Every once in a while, we get some real bonehead comments, and I have to constantly remind myself that you can't take those seriously. There's way more good comments than bad. And there's still people watching. So we're not necessarily expecting to be Vice Grip or Cletus or anything like that. We're not going to be enormous, but if we've got a steady group of people watching the craziness that we're doing, then great. And we'll take it because we're doing the stuff anyway. So we're happy to make this stuff. So thanks, Carl. That's really nice of you to say. Guy told me the third gen two still has it parked behind his house. I can see it on Google Earth. I've often thought about offering to buy it back. Yeah, there's a lot of that that goes on, right? Being able to
this was behind someone's house.
It was, yeah. This was up in a yard in the woods behind a guy's house, and it was sitting there for a year.
How much do you think that did to the car?
So, I don't know. I mean, it contributed to the smell a great deal, but I think a lot of this was probably gone before then. And Carl says, that's $6 you just dropped on the radiator. Yeah, on the radiator, Carl. Then fans, then the wiring kit. Yeah, it's not inexpensive, but ultimately we got the cold case one because they have a good reputation. It's a solid radiator. They had basically the whole kit that I could do and install in one, yes, this will all fit and it's all made to work together kind of kit. That was made for the car. So I had verification that it would fit in the car. And also it's literally half the price of the great radiators. So if you go around and ask people for the best names and radiators, those things are $1,600, $2,000. And I just couldn't see my way to get doing that on this car. I mean, if I had a race car, or if I've got a $75,000 car or $150,000 car, that's all perfect, maybe, but not for this. This is my project car, my runner. So I couldn't make that happen. I did briefly entertain a $200 radiator and a $100 fan kit, but I thought that was taking too much of a gamble. And decided not to do it. We actually kind of flirted with a potential sponsor for a while who I'm not going to say who they are because it didn't work out. But they contacted me kind of randomly through email about sponsorship for their radiators, and they had a full kit that was relatively short money. We got all the way to me saying, yeah, let's do something. And then they ghosted me. So I don't know what the deal was there, but they lose. We don't talk about them, good or bad. And we talk about Cold Case, who didn't give me even a discount. So that's the way it rolls. So I think that's probably all we got for tonight.
Any more questions?
So unless you guys have more questions, but I really appreciate you guys all tuning in and watching us tonight. I appreciate all of you guys just watching in general, just sticking with us through this whole time and being interested in watching these videos. I really appreciate it. It's been a learning experience for me. I know I've learned a crap ton about editing videos and shooting and putting these episodes together. And now Declan's trying to teach me how to not be such an old man about it.
Yeah. Got to rope you guys in.
But that's not that easy. So tell him that you're all old too, because then that'll change his mind. It was not necessarily teenagers watching.
Analytics. I know.
So
no one my age is watching.
I really, really appreciate you guys. We really appreciate you guys watching and tuning in, and hope you continue along the ride with us, because the payoff is going to be there when we finally get this thing running, and you guys get to see Declan behind the wheel driving this car, and us going to an unmarked closed location and him doing his first burnouts in it. Because that's going to happen once this thing gets riding. We're going to make sure that happens. So thank you guys again for tuning in. Hope you all have a great night and a great Father's Day tomorrow for those of you who are in a country celebrating Father's Day. And if you're not, have a great day anyway. So, and we will see you. Hopefully, the next video drops next Friday at 4 o'clock Eastern, 4 o'clock our time. I'm not 100% sure. I can't guarantee that because we're going to be doing a lot of that work Thursday and Friday. We're doing some work tonight, so it's what I'm aiming for, but can't promise it 100%. But it'll definitely be out next weekend. So I think it's going to be the video of us working on his car likely tomorrow. Then I'll probably end up posting the video of me doing the Chevel radiator, which is pretty much me alone. And then we're going to be going back to the Camaro again with the work that we do Thursday and Friday. So it'll be Camaro, Chevel, Camaro. I think that's the current plan. All right, guys.
You got to start doing split episodes so people still watch the Chevel.
So we can trick you into watching the show.
That's what people do with some of their sponsorships. They'll talk about sponsorships while they're doing the video so that people don't skip it.
All right. Well, maybe we'll do that if we get sponsors. And we do actually. I am working on one thing. I wouldn't necessarily say they're a sponsor. They're not giving us any money, but there is a company that I met when I was at the Bay State Motor Festival on Sunday that has a really pretty cool product. So I'm going to try to shoot some of that for you guys and talk about that a little bit in the video. It's a pretty neat thing. Pretty modern, pretty cool. So I'll talk to you guys about that, and hopefully it'll interest you. All right, guys, have a great night. And until next week, keep on throwing wrenches.
In real life.
In real life.